Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. Today we bring you some news. Prince Louis stuns whole country in his daring word, revealed Camilla's darkest secret. The British royal family is closely watched, and gestures, comments, and private moments are often analyzed for significance. Recently, there has been a lot of focus on the relationship between Prince Louis of Wales, one of the youngest members of the family, and his step-grandmother, Queen Camilla. A group of claimed events, most of which took place around Christmas 2023, has sparked a lot of public attention and brought up fresh questions about how the House of Windsor works. These stories, which come from unnamed sources, eyewitness accounts at public events, and news reports, paint a complicated picture of a modern, blended royal family trying to meet different needs, the need for public ceremony and image management, the sensitivities of historical grievance and loss, and the honest, unfiltered reactions of a young child growing up under unprecedented scrutiny. The royal household has followed the usual rule of not talking about private family matters, but the stories that have been going around give us a way to see the perceived tensions, misunderstandings, and emotional negotiations that are affecting the modern monarchy. The stories center on two interconnected events: the Together at Christmas carol service at Westminster Abbey in early December 2023 and private gatherings at Sandringham Estate over the Christmas holidays. People who have seen both events have said that the exchanges were a sign of a bigger problem. Queen Camilla is having a hard time fitting in with the Prince and Princess of Wales's family life. These events prompted renewed discourse regarding the public and private roles within the royal family, Camilla's evolving status as queen consort and step-grandmother, the lasting impact and legacy of Princess Diana, and the protective instincts of William and Catherine as parents, intent on safeguarding their children from the emotional instability that marked aspects of their own childhoods. So the stories that people tell work on two levels: an immediate visible set of experiences with adults and a kid, and a longer-running symbolic tale about belonging, memory, and how family roles change after loss and conflict. People were especially interested in one occurrence that happened at the third annual Together at Christmas carol service, which was put on by Catherine, the Princess of Wales. The princess first put on the Together at Christmas event in 2021 to honor local volunteers, charities, and community organizations, and to raise awareness about the significance of early childhood development. The Shaping Us campaign, which the princess started to promote early childhood and parenting, is linked to the program. That connection makes the carol service more than just a ceremonial occasion. It also shows the family's charity interests in public. It's an effort to blend a serious national tradition with a message that is easy to understand and centered on people. Westminster Abbey, a place with a lot of religious and national history, was where the service took place. Westminster Abbey has long been the site of coronations, monuments, and national days of gratitude. Using that location for a community-focused carol service gives the event both weight and attention. The people in charge wanted to create a tone that was respectful, but not as formal as many royal events. They did this by include music, contemplation, and activities that would get people involved in a sense of thankfulness and community. These kinds of events, which are part formal ceremony and part grassroots party, need careful planning. They need to keep the ceremonial framing while also letting in moments of closeness and surprise that make them seem real. The service that year was attended by senior members of the royal family, including King Charles III and Queen Camilla, as well as the Prince and Princess of Wales. And for the first time, all three of their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, who all came to the evening event together. It was interesting to see 5-year-old Louis in a more formal evening environment, since his public conduct has frequently shown that he is impulsive and unfiltered. Louis's unpredictable behavior, his open gestures, and statements at other public events has made him both charming and, for royal aides and PR people, a variable that has to be handled. One interactive portion of the ceremony was when people wrote thank you notes on cards and put them on a kindness tree within the abbey. Rituals of public appreciation are widespread in memorial ceremonies. They are symbolic actions that let people show their private gratitude and create a shared visual story. The kindness tree let people think about the persons who had helped them or made them happy in the last year. These kinds of activities may make people feel close to one another in public places, especially when kids are around. The boundary between private feelings and public displays can become blurry very fast. People saw the kids from Wales doing this work. According to reports, Prince George and Princess Charlotte carefully put their thank you cards on the tree with the writing facing inward. This was a little self-conscious move that preserved some of their privacy even in a public area. In contrast, Prince Louis was said to have shown his card more freely. People who were there said that the boy's card had a simple message: "Thank you to Granny and Grandpa for spending time playing games with me." People naturally thought that Granny and Grandpa meant Carol and Michael Middleton, the children's maternal grandparents. People have long said that the Middletons who live in Bucklebury, Berkshire, give the Wales children a taste of normal family life by involving them in everyday activities like baking, gardening, and crafts. These are activities that let the children experience normalcy away from the formalities of the palace. The note acknowledged the Middletons directly and didn't name the children's other grandparents, King Charles III and Queen Camilla. This got people's attention. The story that came out next, which was based on anonymous audience members, said that someone in the crowd pointed to the boy and playfully inquired why Queen Camilla wasn't on his list. The stories say that Prince Louis, who is renowned for being honest and occasionally rude in public, answered in a very frank way. He glanced at Queen Camilla and stated, "She's lying," as the news indicated. In such setting, a televised, highly supervised public religious service attended by senior royals and shown to an audience outside the Abbey's walls, such a comment would have been shocking if it had been spoken correctly. These same sources say that the statement caused a short but perceptible silence. Many said that the Prince and Princess of Wales, who were Catherine's parents, looked surprised when they heard the news. Catherine allegedly knelt down and put a comforting hand on her son's shoulder, speaking to him softly in a way that many thought was soothing and motherly. People stated William seemed shocked but calm, and his gaze shifted to Queen Camilla, who was standing close among the crowd. Reports said that the Queen Consort's attitude was calm and polite. She kept talking to visitors and had a pleasant grin on her face, although several observers said it was hard to tell what she was thinking. The news stories went even farther, saying that Prince Louis had given a more thorough explanation of his short first comment. People say he went into further detail, saying that Queen Camilla had said she would play games with me, but when I entered her room she shouted at me to go away and told me I was bothering her, and that she had seemed to be doing nothing until immediately before the incident. These statements, which provide background and purpose for the child's harsh remark, make the narrative more interesting but are hard to prove. Because it was a public broadcast event, some have questioned whether such a back and forth could have happened exactly as described. Did an exchange happen at all, or was the talk part of the transmission? Still, the story circulated quickly via comments and social media, partly because it fit in with bigger stories about the family's ties and Camilla's public position as a step-grandmother. For many, the episode was a symbol of the perceived gap between Queen Camilla's carefully crafted public image as a warm, approachable grandmother and the more complicated private reality that some witnesses suggested. The story fit in with long-running discussions about how well Camilla has been able to connect with her family, which is still dealing with public sorrow and historical controversy, notably the ongoing effects of Princess Diana's death. That history makes it harder for many people, including family members, to go on to new relationships. It's not as simple as getting married or changing your name. You have to accept your new partner and their entire family as well. Memory, loyalty, and loss affect how roles are given and accepted. More stories of poor relationships came out of the family's usual Christmas stay at Sandringham Estate in Norfolk, a secluded royal hideaway where the family usually celebrates the holidays. Sandringham has historically been a haven for calmer family relations away from the busy streets of London. It's a place where honest conversations and conflicts are more likely to come out than in the tightly controlled royal homes in the center of the city. Several news sources said that Queen Camilla had privately voiced worry about Prince Louis's behavior, and some of these reports said that her comments were insulting and scary for the Prince and Princess of Wales. According to those reports, Camilla had said that Louis was hard to manage and had compared him to a young Prince Harry. The parallel had a lot of meaning since Prince Harry publicly broke up with the institution, moved to the United States, and criticized royal life. These events have had a big effect on family relationships during the previous 10 years. William and Catherine were believed to have taken it as more than a casual comment when someone compared Louis to Harry, even in the mildest sense of observing spiritedness or independence. Some others saw it as an implied criticism of both the boy and the way his parents were raising him. The reports also said that Queen Camilla had told Catherine to be more attentive to Louis, warning that if she didn't give him more guidance, his lively personality could turn into feelings of alienation or misunderstanding, which Camilla said she saw in Harry's experience. One report said that Camilla warned about the long-term effects of not having enough parental guidance. This would be seen as serious by a family that had previously been through separations and public exposures. Linking a child's temperament to the potential for enduring estrangement would resonate as a delicate issue for parents who have already experienced distressing familial separations. People have interpreted these accusations in many different ways. People who support William and Catherine's parenting style say that they have tried to give their kids a normal childhood, which includes letting them feel happy and emotional in a way that is appropriate for royal life. From this point of view, a public censure or suggestion that their parenting isn't strict enough might seem rude and judgmental. On the other hand, some people could see Camilla's statements, if they were reported correctly, as coming from a place of real concern, an older family member speaking from experience and wondering out loud for a child's emotional resilience. Because the sources for these stories are anonymous, and the palace has refused to respond, the truth about these discussions is still unknown. This means that different people may interpret them in different ways, which frequently reflects the views of those reporting rather than established fact. There was also a story going around from Sandringham that included a supposed response from Prince Louis. At some point over the holidays, the child reportedly told Queen Camilla, "You can't be my grandmother. My grandmother has passed away." According to these reports, the phrase combined a child's bluntness with a poignant awareness of family loss. Louis was conveying, perhaps in the most literal terms available to him, that the grandmotherly role in his life was embodied by his late maternal figure, Princess Diana, whose death in 1997 continues to reverberate across the household. The short and clear comment was believed to have calmed everyone down since it brought up Diana's long-lasting absence and illustrated how her absence continues to affect emotional postures and relationship roles across generations. Aside from these exact events, other accounts spoke about how Queen Camilla felt about being a part of the Wales family or not being a part of it. Several unnamed sources said that she privately expressed her anger and feeling of futility in trying to get closer to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. In the versions that made it to the press, Camilla was quoted as saying to a close assistant that she had exhausted all options, and that despite her public obligations and private efforts, she still felt like an outsider. If these kinds of statements were real, they would show emotional exhaustion that goes beyond just a few words. Instead, they would show a longer-term fight to be accepted on personal terms in a family that is still upset over things that happened in the past. In general, Camilla's problem is not unusual. Integrating step-families may be hard in any home. But in the royal setting, the situation is much more complicated because of the public's interest, the historical controversies, and the ceremonial duties that come with each function. The press has always been interested in Camilla, and the events surrounding Charles's marriage and separation from Diana have always been in the back of her mind. She has gone from being a private person to the highly scrutinized position of the wife of the heir apparent, and finally, to queen consort. Over the years, media cycles, philanthropic events, and times of exposure have all helped people embrace Camilla. Critics and supporters both have said that formal acceptance, state events, official portraits, and court protocol does not inevitably mean that family members accept each other, especially since grief is still a big part of many family members' lives. Some experts say that these stories, which often come from anonymous sources and tabloids or discussion sites, may exaggerate or change the emotional landscape for dramatic effect. In today's media world, an overheard statement or a vague facial expression might be presented as a clear incitement. Others, meanwhile, see the anecdotes as signs of a real, continuing problem that the queen consort has not yet been completely or securely accepted as a grandmother in a manner that makes up for past wrongs. People have spoken about Prince Louis's supposed honest comments as painful proof that Camilla is an outsider, rather than just childish complaints. The apparent disparity is enhanced by the very observable and well-recorded interactions that the Wales children maintain with their maternal grandparents, Carol and Michael Middleton. The Middletons are a symbol of normal family life, an anchor for regular activities and simple love. Carol Middleton, in particular, has been in the news a lot for doing hands-on parenting activities with her grandkids, such baking, gardening, arts and crafts, and other household chores that bring them closer together. Michael Middleton is regarded as quieter in public profiles, yet he is still seen as a stable, supporting presence who plays games and tells stories. People often say that their property in Berkshire is a safe place for the kids to unwind, without the same kind of public scrutiny that comes with living in an official royal palace. That picture helps explain why a youngster saying "thank you" out of the blue for Granny and Grandpa may easily be seen as a simple expression of love instead than a deliberate omission. There have been several public events when the Wales children have shown that they are close friends with the Middletons, such as family photos, school activities, and stories about their everyday interactions. Many people saw Prince Louis's supposed card on the kindness tree, praising Granny and Grandpa for playing games as a basic, honest account of a child's experience of warmth and play. People who stress this point say that the strong natural bond between the kids and the Middletons must shape and heighten any sense of distance between the kids and their royal grandparents. The difference between a loving everyday style of grandparenting and the more formal, sometimes limited interactions with the monarchy's senior members becomes especially clear. To completely understand the recorded conflicts, they must be placed within a wider historical framework. People have been watching and talking about the relationship between William and Queen Camilla for many years. William and Harry were deeply affected by the end of Charles and Diana's marriage, Diana's death, and the public reaction that followed. Many people say that their route to accepting Camilla's role in their father's life was difficult and complicated, driven by their attachment to a mother who died and the glacial change in public perception. William has always been courteous and obedient in public toward his father's girlfriend and subsequently wife. He has done things like go to family functions, do public appearances, and not directly criticize her. But some people close to William have said that his relationship with Camilla is more polite than affectionate. There is still an insinuation that his major loyalty are to his father's position and to keeping Princess Diana's legacy alive. This protectiveness also applies to William's kids. Some others say that his own formative experiences, which included loss, institutional pressures, and exposure, have made him more aware of the influences surrounding his children. In their parenting, he and Catherine have tried to make their children strong and normal while keeping them safe. Some psychologists say that this protective attitude may make William more sensitive to imagined dangers. For example, any hint that a family member may accidentally upset his kids may be seen as an urgent concern. In this frame of mind, comments regarding a child's behavior, even if they are meant to be helpful, might be seen as criticism or an attack on parental authority. Prince Harry's part in the bigger story is equally important. In his 2023 biography, Spare, he spoke about how the royal family worked together and how he and William didn't want Camilla to be in their father's life at first. He said they had urged their father not to marry her. He said that Camilla had a long-term strategy that ended with her being accepted by the people. Harry's story gives us one personal public view of what happened in the past, which affects how people today think about family relationships. It doesn't matter if William agrees with Harry's framing or if it represents a single viewpoint. It is still part of the family's history and the public's views on it. Harry's following media appearances and the Oprah interview, among other public occasions, have significantly influenced how spectators understand current relationships among family members, occasionally seen through the lens of historical complaints and public disclosures. But Prince Louis himself is still at the center of the most recent talks. He is a young lad whose public appearances have shown time and time again that he is honest and unaffected. Louis has become a symbol of unvarnished childhood in a world that is otherwise full of rehearsed ceremony. From his first appearance on the balcony at Buckingham Palace during Trooping the Colour in 2019 to his widely shared expressions during the Platinum Jubilee celebrations in 2022, moments that included covering his ears during a flypast and playfully interacting with family members, he has become a symbol of unvarnished childhood. People who watch and talk about him often call him spirited and exuberant, which shows that he has a disposition that is likely to react to perceived warmth or coldness in the same way. Kids don't have the same social filters that adults have. Thus, their emotional responses are typically unfiltered. A youngster like Louis could notice little things that adults do, including their tone of voice, how close they are, and their facial expression, and then make literal judgments based on those things. Developmental psychologists observe that youngsters are very sensitive to feelings of exclusion or favored attention, and their reactions when articulated signify rapid awareness, rather than deliberate interpretation. When a youngster straightforwardly asserts that someone is lying or that someone cannot be my grandmother, these statements may reflect the child's endeavor to comprehend and articulate the emotional reality around them rather than indicating complex intent. The purported remarks ascribed to Louis have been scrutinized from the perspective of whether they constitute direct evidence of a personal affront, reflect a more pervasive familial dynamic, or are merely exaggerated in transmission. In any case, they elucidate how familial memory loss and allegiance can influence a child's perceptual framework. A variety of people, including royal analysts, historians, and child psychiatrists, have commented on the story as it unfolds. Historian Sarah Gristwood has remarked on the unique intricacy of Camilla's role, highlighting that the position of step-grandparent under the monarchy is not clearly defined by tradition and requires fresh negotiation. Her remark makes it clear that royal positions are both public and private, and that occasionally the obligations of a monarch clash with their own sentiments. From a sociological perspective, the royal family navigates a unique double bind. It is required to maintain continuity via ritual and hierarchy, while also permitting the organic development of human relationships, often resulting in tensions with ceremonial norms. Child psychologist Emma Kenny has provided a psychological perspective. Children often react to perceived neglect or favoritism in forthright ways. Kenny has been quoted as saying, "Children have a remarkable ability to perceive their surroundings. When they feel undervalued or neglected, they often express it in ways that may surprise adults." Psychologists who work with families often note that what children say is often less about what a person does and more about how they feel about their relationships. In this perspective, Louis's purported remarks may be seen not as deliberate accusations, but as spontaneous reflections of his perception of certain adult reactions. Professionals also encourage people who comment on a 5-year-old's behavior to think about the child's developmental stage. The child's language, social understanding, and impulse control are still developing, and comments may be blunt or imperfect representations of deeper thoughts that are perceived but not completely expressed. As expected, the public's response to the stories has been mixed. Some people on social media and in discussion forums have said they feel sorry for Queen Camilla because they know how hard it is to take on a family role that is already full of controversy and public anger. Others have come together to protect Prince Louis and his parents, saying that what many people see as private family conversations should not be published and spread. People who work in the media, people who care about children's welfare, and people who read both sides have argued over the ethics of making children's comments public and what the press and commentators should do when reporting on domestic situations involving kids. People have asked whether it's a good idea to spread anecdotes, if it's a good idea for news outlets to employ anonymous sources to create drama, and if anonymity might make emotionally charged tales less reliable. Discussions on privacy and ethics have centered on the susceptibility of children as public people by virtue of their birth. Custom and more public opinion shield children born into the royal family from having their words used to make a story. There is a constant conflict in public life between the fact that royal families' intimate moments are noteworthy and the idea that children should not be used as gossip. Critics of how the tales spread say that spreading unconfirmed allegations may make people feel more strongly about them and hurt them emotionally, both for the people involved and for the institution as a whole. In summary, whether the individual events happened exactly as stated or were changed in transmission by selective recall and exaggerated reporting, the stories serve as a reminder of the royal family's ongoing internal problems. Beneath the ceremonial unity portrayed at public events and official portraits are private history, bereavements, mixed relationships, and the daily hardships of raising children. The events that happen during Christmas show the basic problems that any blended family has to deal with, like defining roles, accepting each other, and figuring out how to show love. However, these problems are worse in a house where history is publicly archived and where personal interactions are also of public interest. For William and Catherine, this predicament serves as a reminder of the constant need to preserve their children's mental well-being while still fulfilling their family responsibilities. As parents living in the public eye, people are always judging their decisions about where to draw the line, what to share, and what to keep private. The accounts show Queen Camilla that it still takes a lot of emotional work to build real, patient connections with her step-grandchildren, who are both heirs to a living institution and regular kids who need simple love. She has to balance her public duties with her private need to fit in a place where trust may take years to create, and where every little encounter might be seen as a sign of acceptance or rejection. For Prince Louis, the episodes, whether as reported or rebuilt in the telling, reveal how a child's candidness may put a spotlight on unsettled emotional territory inside a family. His reported remarks, together with the way others reacted to them, indicate how the youngest generation lives in a world molded by past suffering and public stories while simultaneously making their own current observations. How that infancy develops what patterns of warmth, remoteness, acceptance, or exclusion he encounters will eventually serve as one of many indicators of how the Windsor family reconciles previous traumas with the requirements of continuity. As the young prince matures, onlookers are expected to monitor the progression of his connections with his extended family, seeing changes as indicators of the House of Windsor's ability to heal previous grievances and foster cohesion. In that manner, the moment is both very intimate and very significant. It shows how historical legacies and modern-day parenting come together in the royal family and shape how love is given and received throughout generations. No matter what the exact facts of these claims are, their spread has made people think again about the emotional side of Britain's monarchy and the hard effort it takes to connect with people in a past that is still, for many, not over. That thought includes both practical and emotional issues. How can older generations change what they expect from grandparents at a time when mixed families are frequent, yet public image is still very important? How can parents in public life educate their kids how to understand history and memory without putting them in a position where they have to choose between two loyalties? And what part should the media and public opinion play in crafting the stories that families have to deal with? The answers probably won't be easy. The royal family's future will rely on more than just private acts of kindness or restraint. It will also depend on how people in general feel about privacy bereavement and letting new family members join existing ones. The events that happened around Christmas time, whether they were exactly as they were reported or were made worse by being told again, bring up the same questions that have always been there in public life. How families rebuild after loss, how newcomers gain trust, and how children in their honest and unvarnished way change the map of family relationships just by saying what they see. The monarchy, with its ceremonial and duty-based architecture, serves as a prominent laboratory where these quotidian processes are revealed, analyzed, and challenged. People will keep reading tiny actions for bigger meanings, and over time the trajectory of these relationships will show if disputed closeness leads to real acceptance, or whether historical legacies keep affecting how love and belonging are given and received. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for now.